Welcome to the 529 YouTube channel. This is the very first episode of 4 photographers shoot one location. We're at a very insta-famous spot in Alabama Hills. Of today is to get the 4 of us, which is TK North.
He's been on the podcast, so is James.
Jam Tuna, Ichman, and myself, Demas, to shoot this location and try to take it a different direction.
It's such a big Instagram spot that it's been shot so many times, and we thought that we'd come out here and try and shoot it a bit differently. All 4 of us have our own very unique styles.
I think it's sort of like a thing right now with social media and Instagram that spots are getting really famous and everyone's taking the same similar shots. I want to show you guys how to take shots differently and how to think outside the box a little bit. Hey guys, my name is DEMAS RUSLI and you can find me on Instagram at DEMAS. I am a designer / photographer based in Sydney, Australia. I specialize in night, urban and architecture photography. So today's going to be a bit of a challenge because we're in nature, but I'm super excited to take this challenge on and see what I can do.
Hey, my name is Ben and I'm Ichban on Instagram. I'm a photographer, filmmaker based in Sydney, Australia. I specialize in lifestyle, travel and landscapes. Quite excited to be out here because this is what I like to shoot.
Hey guys, I'm TK North. You can find me on Instagram at TK_North. I shoot a mixture of travel, street, quite a bit of time-lapse as well. So I'll be working on a time-lapse today.
Hey guys, it's James here, better known as Jam Tuna on Instagram. I'm a messenger designer / photographer from Sydney. I like to bring those two forms together and sort of make cinemagraphs on Instagram. Today I'm going to try and attempt to make a cool portrait cinematograph here at this wonderful location.
We're gonna make this into a competition, so each one of us will come up with 1 or 2 maybe different ideas and concepts.
Vote 1, TK North.
Sorry about this guy.
So at the end of the video, you'll get to see the final product between each of us 4, and you can vote which one's your favorite.
Definitely check out all our Instagrams. We'll be posting them there and we're gonna vote there as well.
Yeah, you can vote on our Instagram pages, on this YouTube video, and also on our Instagram stories. So yeah, let's get it and let's start shooting.
What's the plan D?
So the whole idea behind my concept is that this is a very classic shot and I want to try to take my own spin to it. I really like to do night photography and car trails and long exposures. So before I got James to drive in a zigzag pattern down the road so we can get some cool long exposure patterns, I'm going to try to composite Ben standing in the trail, and that's my idea.
Okay D, what settings are you shooting at?
ISO 100, go 30 seconds and see what my aperture should be. The aperture should be around f5. Okay, put the 2-second timer on. Let's just get a few test shots. Right, let's try it, James. Let's go f11. Let's go. We're gonna underexpose it a little bit just because it's gonna be car trails and James is gonna be doing like a zigzag. All right, ready? Do you want to turn off your front light maybe? Just get the back light, red light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the red light. So you have to brake kind of thing while you go down. Ready? Thanks, James.
3, 2, 1,
go. I'm gonna try one more time. I think for this kind of shot, it's more about the timing of getting the car right and getting your 2-second timer to be timed perfectly to when you're zigzagging. I might even go a little bit more like F16 because it's starting to get bright and we need some darkness. Okay guys, so what I'm doing right now is trying to get Ben to pose right in the middle so that I can comp him in within the trails. Here we go, let's get some shots. Alright, I think I got it, thank you. Alright, so let's have a look at the shots from before. So this is going to be the shot of Ben comped in, and then that's actually Ben in the trail, which is kind of cool. I like the trail before, like this first trail here. So everything I shot today was shot on a Sony a7R4 with a 2470 f2.8 G master lens.
I wanted to use the rear view mirror to have a night version and a day version, and I'm gonna flicker it on and off. Yeah, so I'm gonna flicker it like a neon sign so it'll glow from night to day.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's gonna pan out because we're running around like crazy. I might try to take some other ones. I did another one where I got James to drive the car up, so he shone our car's light at the camera. So just to add some subject to this thing and add a bit of a glow. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good. So I needed a shot of the side mirror, then I needed to shoot a dark scene, which I shot up, but it was quite bright, so I might have to edit it down and to make it look like that. And then I'm gonna comp that in, and I'm gonna comp a day shot in. So a bright scene of this, and then a dark scene. Yeah, I'm going to be shooting on the 5D4 with a 24-70 2.8 lens. Trying to get a window so I can comp it in later. Here's it. Alright, I think I can fake it. It's still a nice line.
What you doing then?
Trying to get a still shot so I can use it in a video. It's kind of hard though.
Look at that flaming. Ooh. Creativity.
As low as I can go.
So set up a bit of a time lapse. Boys are doing their little photo battle. My plan was to try and get a time lapse. No cloud, but should get the light hitting the mountains in the background, which hopefully look pretty nice. Shooting here on aperture priority today, basically because I don't have to do too much. I can let it roll rather than stand here having to adjust the settings, which is how I prefer to shoot. Makes it a bit easier so I can run around and film and do other things, take some other photos as well. So let's get to it. Set up a time lapse here pretty much when we got here, a little bit after. Picked a spot over on the side here, basically so no one gets in the way. There's not much cloud or anything today, well, no cloud. So obviously just try and get the light changing, hitting the mountain. So I'm shooting on Canon 5D Mark IV. Got a pretty wide lens, 15 to 30. I guess my idea is shooting a time lapse here, something a bit different. Tried to get away from the straight down angle as well, so came over to the side here. You still get the road in, but focus more on the mountains in the background and the light as it hits the mountain. So hopefully something a bit different and hopefully turns out alright.
How's it going, TK?
Alright.
Have you got your idea?
Kinda. Got a time lapse going.
Yeah?
Over there.
Okay.
Shoot some other random stuff as we go.
Hey, David.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Where are you
shooting
running
TK over here. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a portrait because you guys all shoot landscape, and that's sort of how I differentiate myself. So I'm gonna have planes going across TK. I'm choosing planes because we've been traveling together this whole week, and I want to capture the idea of travel. So we're gonna have TK sort of dreamy, head in the clouds sort of pose. I'm gonna be shooting at 100p, so slow motion, and we're going to be throwing paper planes across him, so when they come across they'll be going slow motion, looking like he's flying through the landscape. Using an A7R3, using a 35mm 1.4 Sigma. Awesome. Yeah. Face your body towards that way. Yeah, I'm just taking some stills in case my video fails.
Okay, alright.
I always do a backup.
Okay.
Actually, your planet is getting photosynthesized. That's how you should feel. Just stay still. So we pretty much repeat this process a few times, just so we got more content to sort of layer up. Alright, we'll go one more time.
Bum crack.
Get that bump.
That way.
Hey guys, it's DEMAS here, and I'm going to talk through briefly about my editing process for this shot. So I've imported all the photos I want to edit into Lightroom, and the one that I want to edit is this one that already includes Ben standing there amongst the car trails. This is going to be the base shot. I'm just going to adjust each slider in Lightroom one by one and experiment with the tones and colors until I'm happy with it. Next, I open up this image in Photoshop and adjust the composition and the crop, as well as tidying up some of the dust marks in the sky. I then go back to Lightroom and copy the same settings to the other images that I've imported, and also open this in Photoshop too. Bring the opacity down to align the shot exactly into place. I found that the light trail in the base image started a bit too late, so I'm going to use this other image to extend them. The key here is to use the lighten blend mode. I also then extended the light trail on the other side too by copying the existing trails. I also like the dark moody colors of the sky from the second image, so I'm going to blend that into the top part of the image using a layer mask. Next, I wanted to make the subject a little bit sharper because the base image was a 30-second long exposure shot, so I'm going to bring in this other image into the file where I've taken a clean shot of Ben. Again, using a layer mask, cover up the blurry subject with the sharp one. I then experimented with the sky to see what it would look like with the half day, half night idea, but I wasn't really feeling it, so I just left it with the night sky. I then added some finishing touches with some stars and shooting star to give the image a bit more of a fantasy sci-fi feel to it. Finally, I did another round of color grading in Lightroom to finish it off.
So this is my edit. There's one shot with the Alabama hills in the car mirror and another with just the hills in the background. Not doing too much for the edit, just a quick grade. The only thing is the car mirror one, I want to make it a bit darker to make it look like it's a night shot. And the day shot will be a day shot. Then after I finish grading, I'm going to export them and take them into Photoshop. So just firing up Photoshop, and I'm going to bring both those exported images into Photoshop. So I'm going to bring the mountains and paste it onto the other image of the car window. And then I'm going to turn the opacity to 50% so I can see what they're looking like on top of each other. And I'll transform so I can shrink it to the right size. Because the car mirror was not exactly straight and it was warped in itself, I have to use the warp tool to bend the image to make it fit on top of each other. From there, I just use the mask tool to get rid of the top image parts that I didn't want. This is how it looks. I'll turn each layer on and off so you can see how it fits on top of each other. From there, we open up Premiere Pro and drag those two images into the timeline. I'm putting a opacity mask because I only want the mirror to change and nothing else. Looks quite silly when the background changes as well, so I'm going to work on that a bit later. From there, I'm dragging a glitch preset which I made earlier onto the timeline to make it glitch so it glitches back and forth between day and night. After that, I'm going to play with the duration and loop it so it folds back onto itself. The next step is to play with the pen tool and the opacity to make it flicker. So as you can see, I'm adding points to the clip and dragging it down and making some inconsistencies in the opacity, which makes it look like it's flickering. The second last step, I'm going to add some stars to the background to make it look less plain, and that's pretty easy. Just drag the star layer onto the timeline, use an opacity mask and the pen tool to just cut out the sky and change the blend mode to overlay, and from there I play with opacity and the color grade. And I'm also going to add a keyframe to move the stars from left to right but also rotate it so it looks natural. And finally, the last step is to add sound design. I think it's really what sells the illusion of everything working together. The trick is to add multiple layers so all the sounds blend into each other and it sounds more natural.
So I've got my time-lapse sequence that I shot. My first step is to open that up using LR time-lapse. I use this for things like deflickering, day to night time-lapses. It means you can set keyframes and just edit those keyframes rather than edit the entire sequence. For this one, I'm selecting 6 keyframes, save that metadata, and then we're going to open up Lightroom, select that entire sequence. And that metadata that we just saved, we're going to go in and read that from the files. So these are my 6 keyframes that I'm now going to edit in Lightroom. So I'll edit these as I would any normal photo. It'll then transition between those edits when you open up the entire sequence again in LR time-lapse. There's not much happening, so I really do want to spend a fair bit of time getting the color right. There's no cloud, so I want to get that blue a really nice shade. I also go in there for each of those photos and use a radial filter just adjust where that sun's hitting the mountain very slightly. Again, I'm going to go in and save that metadata to the files. Once that's saved, I come back into LR time-lapse, and then I'm going to use the auto transition, which will transfer those settings from those 6 keyframes to the entire sequence. The only thing I need to fix now is the flicker. So if you can see this little curve here, you will see those little bumps all along it, which is basically a flicker, because I shot this in aperture priority. So in LR time-lapse, you flatten out that curve and get rid of all that flickering. So we're going to go back into that sequence in Lightroom, select the entire sequence, and lastly, again, read that metadata from the files. So export that entire sequence as large as possible so it gives us a lot of room to play with in Premiere Pro. Open up that sequence that we just exported. Now when you do this, it is important to select that little box that gets the entire image sequence. So we now have our time-lapse. Now because there's not too much happening in this time-lapse, I really want to emphasize that sun and shadow. So I'm going to zoom right in and then slowly zoom out. To do this, we're going to select some keyframes using position and scale. Once I'm happy with that, the next step is to basically copy that video over a second time. By copying this across and reversing it, I've now got a loop and the video will end back where it started. Final step is to add in some audio, nice atmosphere to add in, just to add that other layer to the video. So I'll export that and my file is ready to upload to Instagram.
So I always start the editing process in Lightroom. You'll notice that I'm editing a JPEG instead of a RAW file. That's because video files don't have the same color quality compared to a RAW photo. By editing a JPEG, you can transfer the grade over to video much easier. Next, I bring the video into After Effects. Here I'm scrubbing back and forth the video, looking for an in and out point that's similar, so I can create a loop. Once I find the loop, I render out the video and bring it into Photoshop. In Photoshop, I convert the video to a smart object. This way you can apply a Lightroom filter to the video through the camera raw filter. I then bring the video back to After Effects and compose it to a 4:5 frame to fit Instagram settings. I noticed Ben was still in the background, so I deleted his ass with the healing brush tool in Photoshop. After that, I went back through the footage looking for planes I could composite into the shots. Turns out I'm a pretty bad paper plane pilot, so I've decided that I'm gonna 3D composite these planes in instead. Jumping into Cinema 4D, I import a 3D model of a paper plane I got online. I then light the plane so it fits the scene and animate the plane banking left and right. I then take the plane into After Effects and start playing with how the plane flies around. And yeah, the rest of this edit is just me having a play around with the planes, pushing them around to see what's interesting. Here I'm adding a bit more perspective in the image by taking a plane and making it slightly bigger. I then added a Gaussian blur so it feels like it's in the foreground, adding more depth to the image.
So these are the final results.
Vote for your favorite in the comments below.
Let us know which one is your favorite and why.
Yo! Hey! Alright guys, we hope we enjoyed that episode. I hope you got something out of it and got some cool ideas for next time you go to a very Insta-famous spot.
Comment down below if you liked the episode.
Finally, don't forget to vote on your favorite piece of content from today.
Don't vote for Jam Tuna.
Alright. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this episode and subscribe to see more episodes coming like this.